Let's give a hometown Oshawa thank you to our first responders who acted quickly and efficiently. I have the honor today to ask you to join me as we sing "O Canada." So you have a flashlight on your phone. If you have a flashlight on your phone, now is the time. Take it out. Let's show all the other rallies how we do it here in Oshawa. Are we ready? Oh, Canada.
Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home. Okay. Look at this crowd. Look at this crowd in here. My name is Greg Brady, and I am the candidate and the next member of Parliament in Ajax. Thank you. I will tell you, I've never been in this hangar before, and we have filled an entire airplane hangar in beautiful Oshawa. Yeah. I will also tell you that I'm not sure Mark Carney's rallies could fill any of these airplanes. Now, I will also, let's give another quick round of applause to our first responders, the technicians that came in, the EMTs, the paramedics, the police. These are the people, police, fire, healthcare workers, that so many of us are involved in on the ground, knocking on doors. We're hearing these people at the doors, and they want the same change you all do, and we want to support them more. And we're going to after April 28th. I promise you that. Just a real quick introduction. So many of you have said we miss you on the radio on 640 Toronto. I ain't going back. I ain't going back. We're going to take a majority government into Ottawa in May. Let me quickly introduce you. Before I introduce you to the woman of the hour, I want to introduce some of your MPs and candidates that made the trip. Some came a lot further than others. Some are parked in worse parking spots than you are. They are. First of all, let's have her stand up. She started singing just a minute ago. The next MP in Oshawa is Rhonda Kirkland. I want to introduce somebody else who believes in law and order like no other MP does also. He is Larry Brock. One of the most, I told her this already, so if I don't admit it to you guys, I can't just admit it to her. One of the most eloquent and powerful speakers in the House of Commons, and Peterborough knows her and loves her, Michelle Ferrari is here. Now we got to go up to Halliburton, Cottage Country, and representing the great people up there is Jamie Schmale. Now, everybody just knows him as Lionel, but it's not Lionel Richie. He's a lot smoother and soulful than that. He's Lionel, maybe, okay, you didn't think so. Okay, Lionel Loganathan. The man with the plan in Durham and Bowmanville, Oshawa North, your MP, Jamil Giovanni. Now, Ajax and Whitby, we only scrap it out on baseball, soccer, and hockey arenas. We're pals. We support each other. He's the next MP. And the last incumbent Liberal MP standing in Durham right now is Ryan Turnbull. Not for much longer. Not for much longer. Steve Yamada is our next MP in Whitby. Francis Lavoie. There he is right there also. And last but not least, my neighbor in Pickering, Ontario, beautiful Pickering, Alicia Vianga is the next MP there. So you're all waiting for the main event, but I'm telling you, you came on a special night, and this doesn't happen at every rally. We know that there's one person, one man, who's going to deliver the change, and he's going to send Mark Carney packing back to England or Ireland or wherever he's going to go next. Yeah, and that is the leader of the opposition, soon to be your Prime Minister, Pierre Poilievre. But to get the honor of introducing him, I have the pleasure to introduce you to the woman behind the boss, Anaida Poilievre. She is an entrepreneur, she is a dedicated advocate against human trafficking, and a staunch supporter of women's empowerment. Let's bring her out here right now. You waited for this in the line, and you're not going to regret it. Thank you so much for showing up. The next Prime Minister's, again, better half, equal half, Anaida Poilievre.
Hello. Good evening, Oshawa. What a crowd. Just a little over 6,000 people. Thank you. My people. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, Canada, here we are in a crucial time where we must decide whether we're going to elect for a fourth time a government, a liberal government that has weakened our economy, left us with unaffordable housing, rising crime, and vulnerable in the face of the threats of Donald Trump, or are we going to elect a conservative government who's going to put Canada first for a change? This journey began about 3 years ago for my husband and my family, when my husband decided to run for the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. Ever since, he has been traveling from coast to coast to coast, so that he can step out of the Ottawa bubble to listen to Canadians directly, to hear their stories, understand their struggles. Because what we need is a government and a leader of the people, by the people. Leadership is born from the love of our country, from true patriotism, for the love of our true north, strong and free. But you know, there has been a lot more than 3 years that Pierre has been fighting for all of us. He has been here in Canada fighting for families, for our youth, for our seniors, always, always fighting and by our side. So, yes, good question. So, while Mr. Carney is seeking public office, he is out to give the respect it deserves. He cannot look down on those who have been here fighting by your side all along, because public office is something honorable. You know, I love all of my husband's policies, but to truly understand his policies, you have to understand the why. You have to know the men and the family behind all of it. Pierre was born from a teenage mother who gave him out for adoption in Calgary to 2 school teachers from Saskatchewan. They worked really hard, very humble life, and lived paycheck to paycheck. Pierre fought for everything he has. And I was born in Caracas, Venezuela. I have some of my people here. There you go. Muchísimas gracias. Es un honor y un placer de poder ser una voz fuerte para el pueblo latino y la gente de Venezuela. Muchísimas gracias. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, and my family immigrated here in 1995 in the east end of Montreal. There were 6 of us living in a small basement apartment, and my father's first job was to pick up fruits and vegetables because that's all he could do. Later on, he had 3 minimum wage jobs because he needed to work really hard, and that's all he could get to feed our family. By the time that I was 17, I had moved out of home, and I was 100% financially independent. It wasn't easy. And when I turned 19, I packed up my suitcase, left Montreal, went to Ottawa, took a student loan, put myself through university, worked full-time, and studied full-time at the same time. By the time that I was 25, working in the Senate, I was able to save $25,000 to put a down payment on a little 2-bedroom townhouse in the east end of Ottawa. That was in 2012, 3 years before the Liberals took office. That was the good time, when the Canadian promise was still alive and well. Ladies and gentlemen, that dream is no longer possible. And that is why my family stands united, because we want to restore the Canadian promise back. So ladies and gentlemen, as you know, it shouldn't be this way. But hope is on the way. It is my pleasure to stand united by my husband's side and to share him with all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Poilievre.
Who's ready to bring change to Canada? Who's ready to axe some taxes? Who's ready to build some homes for a change? Who's ready to stop the crime for a change? And who's ready to put Canada first for a change? Wow. What an incredible crowd. I decided I would come and visit with my very closest friends in Oshawa. And this is the crowd you bring. Look at this incredible 6,000 people from Oshawa here to put our country first and bring home the Canada we love. Okay. Oh, Sasik, my little guy Cruz, our pilot here. We've got a little pilot here. Show him, look at that pilot jacket. He sees all these planes, and I asked him, do you want a plane or do you want a helicopter? And his answer was, yes. I think he wants both. So if the security turns their eyes away for any amount of time, I'm afraid you might lose one of these airplanes. Our little guy might take it up for a spin. But before I go any further, let me just acknowledge that we had a terrible medical emergency here. A gentleman collapsed, and we thought we'd lost him. But then an amazing and courageous nurse came to the rescue. Jennifer, come up on stage. Come on over. Thank you. Give Jennifer a big round of applause. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. What a hero. Amazing, Jennifer. How long have you been a nurse for?
Oh, that's a tough one. 17, 18 years old.
Wow. Here in Oshawa? Amazing. Well, on behalf of everyone in this room and behalf of the blessed gentleman who I believe is in the loving hands of our paramedics, doctors, and nurses, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. You are a great Canadian hero. Thank you. A great Canadian hero, like so many. We're so blessed to have the greatest people on earth, courageous, giving, generous, patriotic, in solidarity one with the other. Our people deserve the best country in the world. Our flag represents the best country in the world, and we are going to restore the promise of the best country in the world. The great Canadian promise. It's the promise that anyone who works hard gets a great life in a beautiful house on a safe street, protected by brave soldiers under our proud flag. That was the great Canadian promise that gave me my start in life, that allowed my wife to come here as a refugee from Venezuela. 6 people crammed into a small basement Montreal apartment, but all of them have succeeded and enjoyed a great life as a result of the promise this country has to offer. And unfortunately, unfortunately, it's been 10 years, the lost Liberal decade. The lost Liberal decade. Everything costs more, with food prices up 37% faster in Canada than in the United States. Housing costs have doubled, with the worst housing price inflation of any country in the G7, and the fewest homes per person in any of those countries, even though we have by far the most land to build on. Crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder overtake our once safe streets. And yet, the Liberals have weakened our economy with high taxes and anti-resource laws, a radical net zero ideology which stands for net zero growth. They have driven $500 billion south, and they have weakened our economy, making us more dependent and vulnerable than ever before on the Americans. So the question in this election is very simple. After the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime and a falling economy under the thumb of the Americans, are we going to elect them for a fourth Liberal term, or is it... No, we're not. We cannot afford to elect this disastrous Liberal government for a fourth term. It is time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government. Bring it home. Bring it home. Wow. Bring it home. This side wants to axe the tax. This side wants to bring it home. Why don't we do both? And why don't we do it with a great Conservative team? We have Rhonda Kirkland for Oshawa. Jamil Giovanni for a change in Durham. Greg Brady for a change in Ajax. And we have Steve Yamada for a change in Whitby. And I think a number of our other candidates have snuck in the door, but I'm not gonna mention them all because I don't want to leave anyone else, just the ones that are closest by. So all of you know who to vote for. Get the message out. Tell all the people you've ever met that you need to elect these 4 people in this great region. We need a change in Canada, and this is the Canada First team to deliver that change. Parce que le choix dans les élections qui s'en viennent, c'est est-ce que les libéraux méritent un 4e mandat après la décennie perdue, où l'économie a chuté, plus dépendant que jamais sur les Américains, et le coût de la vie a gonflé. Après 10 ans des libéraux de Carney-Trudeau, le Canada est affaibli face aux États-Unis. Ils ont ajouté 100 000 fonctionnaires, brisé notre système d'immigration, permis plus de criminalité. La dette nationale est doublée et le coût de logement aussi. Et c'est la pire inflation depuis 40 ans. Cette faiblesse nous rend dépendants aux États-Unis et menace notre souveraineté. Pour reprendre le contrôle et relancer notre économie, il faut couper la bureaucratie, les taxes et les impôts, protéger nos frontières, exploiter nos ressources naturelles, comme avec GNL Québec, pour assurer notre souveraineté économique et énergétique, ainsi que protéger notre souveraineté contre les menaces de Donald Trump. Le Canada vaut la peine qu'on se batte pour lui, pour notre peuple, pour notre chez nous, pour le Canada d'abord. And today more than ever, we are seeing that the weakness in our Canadian economy has made us vulnerable to outside forces once again. After the Liberals weakened our economy, President Trump smelled that weakness and attacked us with more unjustified tariffs. Yet another betrayal of Canada by the American president. And he understands that the Liberals will keep our country weak and helpless by attacking our resource sector and taxing our businesses and people. That's exactly why he's endorsed Mark Carney. He wants a weak Liberal when we know we need a strong Conservative. But we won't let Donald Trump choose our next Prime Minister. Canadians will be taking back control of their lives. Today I said that as Prime Minister on day one, I would tell the President that we should quickly renegotiate the CUSMA agreement, put an end to the tariffs while we do, get a deal done, bring certainty where there is uncertainty, and that deal will protect the sovereignty and independence of Canada, put an end to the tariffs, and allow us to rebuild our military. In the meantime, we will be there to defend our workers, including the great Canadian auto workers of Oshawa, Windsor, Brampton, Alliston, and countless other places. We announced today we'll make sure that the businesses have the loans they need to pay the wages and keep workers working. We also announced that a Canada First Conservative government will boost demand for Canadian-made cars. Here's the deal. Buy a car that's made in Canada, pay no federal sales tax. Buy Canadian. Axe the tax for a change. Now, the Liberals have pulled a fast one on us. I love you too. God bless you. I love you people. I love every one of you. What an incredible group of people. By the way, for any of the political historians out there, when was the last time we had a rally of this size anywhere in Canada? Look it up. Look it up. I asked the media. The media should have a look. The media should have a look. When was the last time there was a rally of this size anywhere in Canada? The answer is, while the Liberal lobbyists and insiders say that Canadians are stuck with a fourth Liberal term, we know, and this crowd sends the message, that Canadians are ready to put their country first and bring real change to Canada. But the Liberals have pulled a fast one. After the lost Liberal decade, what they've done is replace Justin Trudeau with his economic advisor and hand-picked successor, Mark Carney. Now, but it is the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal MPs, the same Liberal strategists, the same Liberal policies that got us into this mess. Never entrust the solution to the people who made the problem. The only difference between Trudeau and his economic advisor is the fact that Mark Carney is weaker and more out of touch, totally conflicted with millions of dollars invested in things that go against Canada's national interest. We must reject, up until just a few months ago, he had 3 different passports, was calling himself a European, moved his headquarters to New York, killing jobs and opportunity in Canada. He will make us poorer and weaker, and that's exactly why Donald Trump keeps trying to get Carney re-elected. At the same time, Mr. Carney gave a big gift to Donald Trump this week. He announced that if he is re-elected, he will keep the Liberal No New Pipelines Law C-69 in place. This law will guarantee that we will never build another pipeline, major mine, LNG export plant, and force us to helplessly hand our resources over to the Americans at a discount, making us even more dependent than we already are. Canadians, Liberals have not learned their lesson, but Canadians aren't stupid. They know that we need to develop and harvest our resources to take back control of our economic destiny for a change. And that's why I've announced a Canada First economic plan. I call it the Bring It Home plan. Bring it home because we're going to bring home our paychecks in production, and you're going to bring home more of your paycheck. So let's start with that first point. After the lost Liberal decade, Canadians are now spending more on taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter combined. Look at that. We've got an apple over there. He's got an apple for me. That's very nice of him. How do you like them? No, don't throw the apple. We don't want anybody else to have to leave in an ambulance today. I wasn't the best baseball player. Afterwards, you can give me the apple. And, all right? Nice guy. How do you like them apples, everybody? So, but right now, after people are spending more on food, more in taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter. Income tax is the fine you pay for the crime of working hard. The harder you work, the more you pay. Enough. We've got to stop punishing work and start rewarding success in this country. And that's why Conservatives will cut your income tax by 15% so you bring your paycheck home for a change. You like that idea? This lady is very excited about a 15% income tax. What are you going to spend it on? What are you going to do with the money that's going to be in your pocket when we cut your taxes by 15%? She runs a business. She's going to put the money back in the business and grow even bigger. Wow, what a great idea. I like the idea of leaving the money in her hands. She'll do better things with it than will do the bureaucrats in Ottawa. I believe that $1 in the hands of the person who earned it is better spent than in the hands of the politician who taxed it. And so I trust you with your own money for a change. And for people who might have sold their house to downsize or inherited from their newly deceased spouse and have some extra money to set aside, whose growth you want to protect from even more taxation, we'll allow you to contribute an extra $5,000 a year to your tax-free savings account as long as it's invested in Canada. Bring it home. We need investment in this country. Canada gets 55 cents of investment for every dollar. Sorry, a Canadian worker gets 55 cents of investment for every dollar of investment that the American worker gets. Money's been pouring out of our country, south of the border, into the hands of Americans. Canadian dollars building pipelines, mines, business centers, and more with Canadian investment. I want to bring it home, so I've announced that we will pass the Canada First reinvestment tax cut. Zero capital gains tax when you reinvest the proceeds in Canada. And then we're going to get rid of the worst tax of all, the inflation tax. We know the inflation tax is the result of rampant government money printing. If you have an economy with 10 apples and $10, it's a bucket apple. But whenever I talk about inflation, I hear crickets from the Liberals. But the reality is that if you double the dollars to 20, but you still only have 10 apples, you're not twice as rich. It's just that now each apple costs twice as much. The Liberals grew the money supply by 40%. From $1.8 trillion to $2.5 trillion, 40% more money, while the economy grew by only 4%. In other words, the money grew 10 times faster than the stuff that money buys. Now, all that cash starts out in the hands of government bureaucracy and the financial system. So the very wealthy and well-connected touch it first before it loses its purchasing power. But by the time they start spending it, everything goes up in price, and the working class people say their purchasing power go down. It's actually not that things cost more, it's that your money is worth less. And it is the worst tax because it takes from the working people to give to the super elite billionaires who simply watch their assets go up year after year. In other words, it takes from the have-nots to give to the have-yachts. Furthermore, this tax increase is sneaky. There's no vote in Parliament. It just happens through backroom money printing that most people cannot follow. And so you're never able to hold accountable the people who caused the price increase. You just assume the grocer or the local gas station or corner store has suddenly gotten greedy and raised prices, when in fact it is the government that is driving the greed behind it. It is the worst tax, and that is why we will stop the overspending that led to the money printing in the first place. We'll cut bureaucracy, consultants, handouts to liberal and corporate insiders, and we will cut foreign aid to dictators, terrorists, and multinational bureaucracies to bring our money home. Bring it home. We're going to bring in a wonderful new law. It's called dollar for dollar. It requires we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending. Every other creature in the universe must live with scarcity. That is, whether you're the fish in the seas or the birds in the trees, you must maximize use of scarce resources. The only creature that doesn't have to follow this rule is the politician who just creates more cash or passes the bill on to you in higher taxes. This new law will require that government make the same trade-offs that you do, choosing between this or that, or finding a bargain on this and that. And in that way, we will drive down the cost of government to stop the inflationary debt. And you know what? You've been pinching your pennies long enough. It's time for the government to start pinching its pennies too. Common sense. Common sense in managing our common sense is what we need in this country. And but we're not done there. The biggest price inflation we have seen during the lost Liberal decade has been housing. Housing costs have more than doubled since Liberals promised to bring them down. Mark Henry, we are going to give our children a future back, the opportunity to own a home. To own a home. Mark Carney told Justin Trudeau to print money like crazy. He flooded the British economy with easy cash, and he's been widely blamed for causing the housing crisis in that country. And his company, Brookfield, actually profits off the housing crisis with rent evictions, rent increases, and other abuses. He actually profits when housing costs go up. His interests are against the interests of our people. Conservatives understand that the reason housing costs so much in Canada is because governments stand in the way. We have the second slowest building permits. It takes 3 times longer to get a development approved in Canada compared to the US and the UK. 60% of the cost of a new home in Vancouver is government taxes, charges, fees, delays, lawyers, accountants, and countless other things necessary just to start getting the shovel in the ground. We must cut the bureaucracy and axe the taxes to build the homes. And so I am announcing that a Conservative government will axe the federal sales tax on new homes to save you $65 grand. We will incentivize municipalities. We will incentivize municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development charges to build 15% more every single year. We'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings, thousands of acres of federal land to build the homes of the future so you can afford a place to live for a change. And so the choice after the lost Liberal decade, the choice after the lost Liberal decade is, do we give the Liberals a 4th term to hike your taxes and increase housing costs? Or is it time for a new Conservative government that will bring lower taxes and affordable homes for a change? We will unlock our resources. We should be the richest country in the world. We have the 3rd most oil, the 1st most nuclear resources in the form of uranium, the most potash, the longest oceanic coastline, the 5th most farmland per capita in the world. We need to unlock the massive resource potential that God gave this country. And so, 14 of the biggest energy companies have told us the things we need to do, 5 things that we need to do to unlock our resources, and I will do all of them. 1, they say you have to axe the entire carbon tax, including the carbon tax on industry. Axe the tax. Well, While Donald Trump hits us with our industry with tariffs, and Mark Carney wants to compound them with industrial carbon taxes that will drive our steel, aluminum, and other industry south, Conservatives will axe the industrial carbon tax to bring the production home to Canada. Second, they say we need to repeal the Liberal No New Pipelines Law, C-69. We'll repeal the law. We will get rid of the energy cap that blocks the growth in our energy sector. We'll produce more oil and gas and other critical minerals to power our economic future. They say we need to go from having 17-year approvals for mines to 6 months. Yes, I will get it done in 6 months, not 17 years, to bring it home. And they say that we need to empower our First Nations communities to invest in resource projects to generate paychecks for their people and pay for clean drinking water, health care, and education. And I say yes to that too. Mark Carney says no, 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 and no. He keeps Stephen Guilbeault in his cabinet, who wants to ban roads from being built. The choice in the election is, do we want to elect the Liberals for a 4th term of blocking resources and making us dependent on the Americans, or is it time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will get our resources developed? But to do it, we need the boots and not suits to get the job done. We have some trades workers. Are you a trades worker, sir? Are you a trades worker? I noticed you just stood up after I said that. Are you a trades worker? Do we have any trades workers in this place? Yeah, there we go. There we go. We got trades workers all over the place. Sorry, this gentleman jumped up when I said boots, not suits. I thought he might have been one of our great plumbers or pipe fitters or carpenters. Sorry to single. You're a tradesman? What do you do? Electrician. That is shocking. Shocking news. We have an electrician. What do we have over here? Iron worker. Give it up for the iron workers over here. She's made of steel. She's made of steel. Way to go. Support blue collar. My friends, we got a lot of trades workers back there. What do we got back there? Pipe fitter over here. What's this? Sheet metal worker. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the people who make stuff, move stuff, build stuff, and fix stuff. Yep. So listen, my friends, we're gonna invest in. What do we got? Medic, we need a medic over there. Oh, we need a medic over there. Matt. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for your incredible patience, and thank you to the great heroes that helped out again. Incredible. Thank you very much for your patience, everybody. As I say earlier on, we need to build the country, and we need the people who know how to build, and that's why Canadian Conservatives will sponsor 350,000 union-directed training positions to trade apprentices and young tradespeople across this country. With boots, not suits. And it's not just the trades, it's the professions. We have 20,000 immigrant doctors and 32,000 immigrant nurses who can't work in Canada because they have no way of proving their qualifications. In Toronto, it is stupid. And so they end up doing low-wage jobs while there's lineups in our hospitals. They say in Toronto, if you have a heart attack, don't call 911, call an Uber, because the driver is probably a doctor. That's the insanity of it all. But we know the solution, my friends. We are going to bring in a national Blue Seal certification for every profession so our immigrant doctors and nurses can get licensed and working and reducing our wait times. We're going to bring home safety to our people. We're going to bring home safety to our people. We are going to end the liberal catch and release criminal justice system with jail and not bail. Jail, not bail. Jail, not bail. We are going to bring jail, not bail for repeat violent offenders. And all right, we have another great Canadian who has survived. Let's give them a round of applause as well. The great Canadian people who've gathered here today, I realize there's a lot more than we expected, which generated a lot of heat in the room, but we're going to keep the heat on to bring home the country we knew and love. It means that we're going to repeal the catch and release liberal criminal justice system, bring jail, not bail for repeat violent offenders. We will ban hard drugs, give life sentences to the fentanyl drug kingpins who are murdering our kids, invest in treatment and recovery to bring our loved ones home drug-free. We will secure our borders to stop the guns, the drugs, and the stolen cars from coming into our country, and we will pay for it by canceling the useless attack on licensed, law-abiding, trained, and tested firearms owners. Protecting our country means that we must rebuild the great Canadian Armed Forces. We will buy 4 big, massive icebreakers to take back control of our Arctic waters with submarines, fighter jets, Poseidon aircraft, new runways in the north, and the first Arctic Canadian base since the Cold War, CFB Iqaluit. All of this. to restore our country and its promise. We will be a nation that defends itself, makes goods for its people, builds homes for its youth, protects its vulnerable, secures its border, a nation of strivers and workers, of adventurers and artists, a nation that unites for one purpose, to restore the great Canadian promise that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house, on a safe street, protected by our proud soldiers, under our wonderful Canadian flag. Canada first for a change. Let's bring it home.